The Eagles take on the Commanders in week 4. Can the Birds stay undefeated, or could it potentially be a trap game? We'll break down everything they need to do to execute a win and much more right here coming up. What is up, everybody? Welcome into A to Z Philly RB here. You know the drill. Hit the like button. Comment down below what your final score prediction will be for this weekend. Hit the subscribe. Ring the bell. Don't miss any of the coverage. We are live every halftime and post game, so be sure to come through during the game. But 1 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, the Eagles take on the Commanders. The first time this season they will play a division opponent, and it will be at the Link. The Eagles looking to stay undefeated after a massive win on Monday night against the Tampa Bay Bucks. The Commanders, on the other hand, looking to bounce back after getting absolutely blown away by the Buffalo Bills. Who will come out with the win, and how will they get it done? We'll break down all of that. Give me your thoughts down in the comments. But before we jump right into it, a shout out to our sponsor of today's video, BetMGM. Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using code ATOZPA and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matter more than ever. So find out why BetMGM is the king of sportsbooks. Download their app right now. Sign up using the code ATOZPA and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Hey, last week I told you, man, take the over on A.J. Brown. I haven't checked the latest on it, but I know it's probably rising as we speak. And I'm telling you again, take the over. I want to start off with this, man. The Washington Commanders, if you didn't know, have allowed their quarterback, their young quarterback, late round quarterback, Sam Howell, to be sacked 19 times in just 3 games. They're 2-1 right now. But either way, he's still been sacked 19 times. That is the most of any team through 3 games since the 2006 Raiders. Shout out to Eagle Nation for putting that on Twitter. You look at the Eagles and the Commanders coming into this game, man. It is very simple. And I feel like some of this is redundant week to week. But then again, I think about the Philadelphia Eagles. And the fact of the matter is they have one of the most dominating rosters in the NFL, one of the best teams. So what they are going to do is come in and execute their strategy every single week until some team finds a way to stop it, right? Whether that's running the ball down their throat with DeAndre Swift, or letting A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith go to town, and letting Jalen Hurts throw dimes and, you know, getting to the quarterback 80 million times. The Eagles are going to over-talent almost everybody. So until a team finds a way to shut one of those weapons down, yeah, it's almost like we're coming out and saying the same thing every week. Now, I will warn with this game, you look at the Commanders, first time that an Eagles team this year is going up against a division opponent. And last year, they were 8-0. We saw what happened, trap game. Now, if Quez Watkins held on to that football, they probably win the game. But either way, the Commanders did give the Eagles a loss last year. It was a trap game. To avoid that, you have to come out, get out to an early lead, right? Do the fundamental things early on in this game. That way you don't have to crawl back like you were trying to do last season, you know, in that week 9 matchup. Now, when I think about the Philadelphia Eagles, their game plan is simple in this game. They need to come out and they need to let that front 4, front 5, whatever it'll be, let the monsters go to work. Let them get to Sam Howell. The Washington Commanders last week lost to the Buffalo Bills 37-3. And that was after they went up 2-0 on the season, right? They did sneak by the Cardinals, right? They didn't play their best football, but they still muscled out 2 wins. It almost feels this week kind of like the Buccaneers matchup last week, right? The Bucs didn't really play their best football, but they did enough to win. And then boom, they run into a juggernaut. The Washington team runs in to Josh Allen and the Bills, who just absolutely run it up. And they looked like they didn't know what they were doing. Sam Howell threw 4 interceptions last week. He has 5 on the season. Right? And their running backs were fumbling, and they just played a very sloppy game. And when I think about this game, if Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick, if they can all just get to Sam Howell, which I believe they will, given that the offensive line of Washington is not really that sturdy, they're going to win this game. In fact, one of my bold takes this week is I think this could be one of those games where the Eagles rack up 7 or 8 sacks. Right now, the Eagles are 6 on the season in terms of sacks. They've averaged 2 per game. They're going to increase that total a lot this week. Now, on the flip side, I think the main key for Washington in this game is to try to come out and finally figure out a way to stop the running game of the Philadelphia Eagles, right? You look at Washington, they have 10 sacks on the year. They've been very, very good in that department, and their anchor as well, at least right now, is their defensive line, right? You look at Chase Young, who's finally starting to get healthy. You look at Montrez Sweat. You look at Deron Payne, who's leading them right now, and they have a lot of talent up front. So DeAndre Swift has been a beam of light for the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's why I was so ecstatic last week. No, the Eagles didn't put it all together yet, but Jalen Hurts started to look more comfortable in the pocket, and now he does have 4 turnovers in 3 games. He's got 3 picks. He's got a fumble. He still has to get better and clean it up, but we're starting to see a more resemblance of the Jalen Hurts from last year. He looked very comfortable in the pocket last week. The offensive line played stellar. They were incredible, and they're going to have their work cut out for them this week, but the beam of light is DeAndre Swift, right? The one thing we thought could potentially hold back the Eagles a little bit this year is that running game. But Swift, man, the patience, the elusiveness, just the way he's hitting the holes and just staying so, based within himself, not getting too out of his comfort zone, not doing crazy things, trying to extend an extra cut. No, he's just literally playing the position the perfect way that it should be taught. And, racking up $178, then $130 last week. If DeAndre Swift keeps this up, and if he can, find some holes in that defensive line, I don't think they're going to have any shot in this game at all. And then again, last week, I liked how the Eagles got A.J. Brown going after the catch, right? I saw a lot of slant routes, more dig routes. They were starting to get a little more creative on offense, and they utilized all their weapons. And I think, this could be a game where Dallas Goedert finally gets going against the linebacker play of Washington. They've been pretty good tackling, but in terms of coverage, not so much. I think Devontae Smith could have a great game, but I think AJ is going to feast again. You look at Washington's secondary, they have Kendall Fuller, who's been there for a couple years, and then they have a rookie corner on the other side, Emmanuel Forbes. The back end in safety, they have a couple late round picks who haven't really, done too much in their career. I think the Eagles can absolutely, take advantage here in that passing attack, but I think it's going to start again with DeAndre Swift, and I like, again, how last week Brian Johnson continued to run with that formula as long as it was working. Now I'm looking at the Washington weapons here, and again, it just reminds me a lot of last week with the Buccaneers because they don't have a lot of big playability. Terry McLaurin is the one guy with that big playability, and he's always going to be scary. Right now, he's not even leading the team in receiving yards, but he's had 100 each of the last 2 games that he's played. The Eagles usually does pretty well against the Birds, but I trust Darius Slay. I trust James Bradbury. And, to be honest, Josh Jobe, for being asked to step into the spotlight, has played pretty well. And I think if the Eagles just, do the things that are needed, just do the fundamental things, right? Tackle at the legs and, keep their guys in front. I think Sean Desai has done a really good job of just, letting them dictate the game and just letting those boys up front feast. It all starts with them. And, Logan Thomas, I'm not really scared, of Curtis Samuel, any of these guys. And, again, Sam Howell was playing pretty well until this past week where, he threw 4 interceptions. He's now up to 5 on the year. And you look at a guy like Antonio Gibson. Brian Robinson Jr., is averaging 4.6 yards per carry. DeAndre Swift is averaging 6.8. So, the Eagles have them beat almost in every single category on paper. Antonio Gibson, I know because I have him on my fantasy bench, has been fumbling a lot, right? He could probably be the starter, but he's having issues. So I go and I look throughout this Washington roster. They don't have many players that should scare the Philadelphia Eagles other than their defensive line, right? If the Eagles can pass protect and they can keep some of those guys up front away, they should be able to really control this game and run a lot of time off the clock. It's going to be a battle of the defensive fronts. However, if the Eagles can continue to, again, carry out what they have in prior weeks and just, cross their T's and dot their I's, they should be able to win this game handily. So, yeah, man, I think the Eagles have to be good on third down. I think they have to force turnovers early and really just kind of replicate what they did last week. I don't think Sam Howell is anything crazy. He's not mobile. And if you can prevent that big play from Terry McLaurin, I don't see a reason the Washington Commanders score more than 17 points in this game. I think the Eagles should probably win by 10 to 13 points. And at the end of the day, it feels like this should be a game that'll give them a lot of confidence moving forward into the next couple opponents, which all should be winnable games, really, until they get their first, I'd say, big test when they play Miami. But as always, division games can get scrappy. You don't want to look past. The Eagles will have the home advantage, especially with those fans roaring at the Link. And man, it's going to be an exciting one to see. One of the only 3 1 p.m. games this season, which is very, very odd. But hey, you start getting a lot of eyes on you, you get more primetime slots. We'll see how it all plays out. Give me your final thoughts and prediction down below. As always, appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That being said, I will catch you all on the next one. Peace.